What is Gucci YouTube? It's your boy Black Gucci out 3 long face skinny 5T. Yes sir, ski, and we are back still black with some more fireboards and anime manga related content. Now before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, smash that like button, share the video with your friends, and let's hop into the business. Yes sir, ski.
9 mountains and 8 seas make one world. 1,000 worlds make one chiliocosm. 1 chiliocosm to the power of 3, and there's nothing I can't cut.
Despite its short appearance, Mitsuki's time skip or 2 blue vortex, should I say, debut raised a few eyebrows per its release in chapter 1. Now, we have, I would say, a little over 2 weeks, probably, I would say significantly less than 2 weeks, but you know, well over 1 week until we got chapter 2 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. And it's crazy that we're now moving forward with this train and getting the engine going with things of that sort and that nature, because now we get to see how, you know, the story is going to develop and move forward in regards to a lot of the things we've been questioning, not just since the drop of the first chapter, but since the start of the serialization, since the start of the infamous chapter and episode where we see Boruto and Kawaki facing off against each other. But chapter 1, 2 Blue Vortex, we see my guy Mitsuki, right? We see him there with Kawaki and has some real interesting dialogues. And it also, you know, ties into really Mitsuki's character goal and his end game. Now, it's easy to simply ask how strong is Mitsuki, or where do I see Mitsuki currently, as opposed to, you know, where we see him in chapter 1. You know, if you guys haven't really caught on to it, but my last previous videos, I have subtly been touching on each of the members of Team 7 in terms of where they currently lie power-wise and their progression currently in the story, and going over Kawaki, going over Sarada, touching on Boruto in terms of a couple of areas, whether it be, you know, his whole situation with Sasuke, or whether it be how he pulled up into the village. But where are each of these members at, right? We talked about that with Kawaki. We talked about that, of course, with Big Uchiha Sarada. And then we talked about that previously with Boruto in certain situations and in certain videos that can't be messed with, right? If you had Kawaki, if you had Mitsuki, but if you had Mitsuki inside of an arc earlier on in the story, and you had to find some type of way to write it to make sense where Mitsuki didn't destroy the main villain. And this is like early on, I would say pre-Chunin exams, and even sometimes, and in some cases, post-Chunin exam arcs of Boruto. It's like Mitsuki kind of could have been the main heavy hitter, right? Once we have Karma going into play, and now Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan being a wild card, it's kind of hard to say, but always, since the start of the story, it's always been justified about how we're going to get Mitsuki up to that top tier. Everything ultimately links back to Orochimaru, who in turn, you know, ultimately links to the end game of Boruto, because a lot of these traits, a lot of these, you know, story plot lines that we're picking up originally started with Orochimaru in terms of the Karma Seal, the curse mark, right? The ability of resurrection through getting different vessels over and over again. A whole lot of these things derive from Orochimaru and his impact on the Naruto series. And we see Mitsuki as a byproduct of that nature. The whole thing of Mitsuki was he was created as some type of a byproduct plan, right? As an offspring plan, in order to battle against the OTSUTSUKI. We know that one of the main things that Orochimaru is pardoned with and allowed to do is his research and intelligence will help ultimately in the main battle against the OTSUTSUKI, which is why Naruto has been keeping Orochimaru monitored since the 4th Great Ninja World, and allowing him to continue his research for all of those purposes to benefit the ninja world as a whole. You know, Mitsuki is one of those results. Plain put and simple, Mitsuki and Sarada part 1 of Boruto manga clearly stated they needed to be stronger in order to face Otsutsuki level threats. So, long story short, is Mitsuki Otsutsuki level now? Now, if we're going to simply go off of situations where Boruto's pulling up into the village and he has such a calm demeanor on his face while stepping on top of Code's face, right? Sarada's kicking calmly the mess out of a claw grime right into his chest, letting it sting like a bee, right? If we're going off of these type of subtle things and how they're moving off of these type of small feats, we can go off of the dialogue that Mitsuki provides us this chapter, and we can also draw back from previous statements that Mitsuki has stated, right? as I clearly just said, both Sarada and Mitsuki, one of the last times we saw them in part 1, stated that they need to be stronger in order to help Boruto and face OTSUTSUKI. So they had a clear goal set in mind. So it's obvious, especially since the events that occurred 3 years ago in World, Mitsuki has been training endlessly and relentlessly, all with one goal on his mind, and that is to protect Kawaki, i.e. who he supposedly believes to be Boruto. But in order to protect Kawaki, he needs to be stronger in order to face a threat like Boruto. He understands that both Boruto and Kawaki are OTSUTSUKI, and if anyone can understand within the last 3 years how powerful Kawaki is, I guarantee, and I place my bets on it being Mitsuki, understanding at least how powerful, or what he believes Kawaki would be capable of doing in terms of whether it be attack potency or the abilities he's able to possess. Kawaki straight up flies off in front of Mitsuki, and he doesn't even flinch about it. My man is out here contemplating life, right? And it's one of the key factors to his character, as I stated earlier on in the video. So these are some of the interesting things if we want to know, okay, where can we place Mitsuki in the power pedestal? Ultimately, everything ties in together to Mitsuki's character, like I said, which ultimately links back to Orochimaru, and that Mitsuki's whole purpose deals with creation, deals with syntheticness, deals with becoming one's own, deals with having a will of one's own. And aside from things like the curse mark being related back to the karma, and the things like finding a new vessel with all of these Otsutsuki relating back to Orochimaru, we understand one another thing that ties back to Orochimaru is the memory aspect in all of this. And the main thing that is affecting everybody currently in the story is their memory has been swapped. And we can see Mitsuki contemplating on life in the chapter, right? We can see Mitsuki doing that. And this, at the end of the day, would call for a whole different discussion tying Mitsuki and Orochimaru back to the main plots and core of the overall arching story. But just bringing in a little bits and pieces for the sake and purpose of this video, right? Everything having these connections going back to Orochimaru, going back to Mitsuki in regards to memories, understanding that Mitsuki is not shy and he's not new to having his memories altered or messed with, understanding those were one of the main things that Orochimaru kept on doing to Mitsuki until he was able to properly awaken his Sage Mode and properly retrieve the envelope with Boruto's picture, as we've seen not only in the one-shot manga by Kishimoto, but also in the Boruto anime itself with Mitsuki's backstory. So Mitsuki is not shy of having his memories altered and played with, and even going as far back and recent as the deeper chapters where we see Mitsuki activate Sage Mode willingly in order to protect both Boruto and Sarada. One of the main things that stressed Orochimaru was that all of this rapid development going on with Mitsuki's body and brain is going too fast for comfort, so it might be safe to erase Mitsuki's memories and allow things to continue to play out as they were, giving Mitsuki the option to continue to go through such feelings and pain, or have Orochimaru do what he's always done, erasing and resetting his memories and allowing Mitsuki to continue to move forward to allow the proper balance for his development to, be set in place. But we all understand how it went with Mitsuki decided to keep his memories and things of that nature. All of this ties back to Orochimaru. We see Mitsuki contemplating, right? Contemplating heavily on if Kawaki is even his son, which we never seen him do in regards to thinking about Boruto, in regards to being next to Boruto. It's key to let you know that Mitsuki, either A, he can sense something is wrong, or he can feel something is wrong with inside of his memories. And it's possible, it's been discussions brought up, and it's not a shy theory that has been in the community, especially within the last month, of Mitsuki retrieving his true and actual memories from Orochimaru one way, shape, or another. That would be a very logical way to go about things, but also illogical way to explain how we can get Orochimaru not affected by the Shinjutsu and things of that nature. But Mitsuki definitely isn't shy of having his memories altered, and all of his statements and conversations not only highlights and keys his importance as a role in the character in the story, but also in terms of his strength and his progression moving forward. So ultimately, going back to where do I see Mitsuki in terms of his statements of wanting to be OTSUTSUKI level and also wanting to protect Kawaki, as we seen him state last chapter, understanding, okay, if anyone understands how strong Kawaki is currently, I bet it would be Mitsuki in terms of going towards the full potential of what Kawaki is able to do. Yet he still confidently says he wants to protect Kawaki, understands that Boruto can erase his chocolate signature more likely than not, yet he still says things like he wants to protect Kawaki and that he will kill Boruto, right? So it's probably safe to say Mitsuki ain't here to play around, right? I wouldn't even be surprised if he's above, Sarada. And if we're gonna be honest, Sage Mode Mitsuki has always been above Sarada, but with that Mangekyo, I've been getting a little bit of a big head, with my Big Uchiha vibes, but I wouldn't be surprised surprised if my guy just left, you know what I'm saying, Sarada back there with the flies and the dust, because Mitsuki is a little bit of a wild card, and I've been saying that since the start of the story. Is he OTSUTSUKI level now? I absolutely wouldn't be surprised if my guy was. I don't believe, and I never even conceived Mitsuki to be the one to talk big or to talk empty, right? Because he wasn't created that way. His main thing is to observe the human nature of those beings around him and to gather and gain those experiences for his own intellect and intel. So Mitsuki isn't going to sit here and be like, yeah, I understand what Kawaki's capable of doing. I understand the threat that Boruto possibly can pose. I'm not finna just talk on my ass. But nah, word two, I'm finna pop this man Boruto, let him step foot in the village. I got you, Kawaki. You know what I'm saying? You my dog. I believe all of these things are being played and put in front of our faces for a reason. So overall, Mitsuki definitely more likely than not is OTSUTSUKI level. But everything tying his character back to the main point and main plot of the story ultimately links with Orochimaru, right? And the fact that Mitsuki is able to brew this such confidence when he's talking to Kawaki, I believe it goes to show that he might be one of the next people, if not the only next person, to have his faith or belief in Boruto brought back, because it's such a strong resolve that Mitsuki has developed over the years. And over the past 3 years, he has to have had sense that something has been wrong in regards to being next to Kawaki, having Kawaki tell him, bro, you're like suffocating me with all of your bloodlust. Stop following me around. You're a creep. You're a weirdo. He can't, regardless of if his memories have been swapped between Boruto and Kawaki, the actions of each other have not. It's just the names and titles placed on them. So in his mind, Kawaki is still the dude that told Mitsuki, yo, do what you want. I'm going to support you. You my guy. You know what I'm saying? Choose what you want for yourself. Don't always just follow me. You feel me? Those are the type of words of encouragement Boruto leads on to Mitsuki. Not, bro, get your weird, creepy self on. Like, go ahead and move, boy, before I really backhand you, right? Now Mitsuki's standing there left confused because his son just left him high and dry, no pun intended. So, all in all, is he OTSUTSUKI level? I wouldn't be surprised. I'm leaning more sort towards yes rather than no. And then, ultimately, do I believe that he will come to find out the truth about Kawaki? I also would not be surprised. And I believe that's one of the main things that's going to tie his character's importance in terms of having a role in the main story and plot. So I'm definitely excited to see if they're going to incorporate much more of Orochimaru coming in part 2. Stay tuned for a follow-up video. But until then, it's your boy Black with Child 3 long face skinny body. Holla at your boy. I'ma holla at y'all. Make sure you share the video with your friends. Leave your thoughts below, comments below. What do y'all think about Mitsuki, his progression in terms of power, in terms of character, in terms of importance into the story, and all of that shaz jazz. Until my next video, holla at your boy. I'ma holla at y'all. Back with you out. Yes, sir. Ski.
We take a trip to the sky, show them that our limit's too high.
Cocoa butter hips on the waistline. She said